Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining tonight's post-match media availability with Nashville SC head coach BJ Callghan. Following the team's Game 3 match at Inter Miami, we'll go ahead and go right into questions. As always, feel free to ask two if you have them, and we'll start with Ben Wright.
Yeah, VJ, I guess I'm just curious about the changes that you made at halftime after being down 2-0. It felt like initially they were pretty positive with the goal that got disallowed. What did you make of how you guys responded to going down initially, and then just the second half as a whole?
I thought coming out of the first half, I thought we needed to be able to exploit the space behind a little bit more. I think bringing in somebody like Gaston allows you to expand that passing range. Obviously, bringing somebody like Jacob in that, he has that ability to expose that area. And then getting Alex on the left side, I thought was able to kind of get there. And then also from the build-up standpoint, bringing Dan in, using a natural left footer, again, to try and build a little bit from there and access between the lines or in the space behind. I thought, for the first 15, 20 minutes, it was fairly effective. I thought we had a couple half chances, and then we were about to bring on another sub, and that's when goal 3 happened.
And I know it's just, a few minutes since the result goes final, so it's probably hard to kind of think more of the bigger picture at this point. But just looking back at the 2025 season as a whole, what have you kind of made of the progress that you guys have made this year, and kind of, I guess, what's just the overall feeling that you have kind of looking back on this season?
Yeah, right now the overall feeling is we're disappointed and the emotion is raw, but I think when we get out of here and the emotions calm, we're going to look back at 2025 as a real proud moment. Not only a proud moment, I couldn't be more proud of the players and the way they leave everything out there and how brave they play, but it's a historic season. It was record-breaking in so many ways, and then obviously with the Open Cup and winning the first trophy. So this 2025 season, when we decided to write Chapter 6, if you told me that it was going to be one that is historic and etched in history forever, I think we're going to look back and be really proud of the totality of the season we put together.
Jacob?
BJ, when you look back at the season as a whole, do you feel that this national team had a sort of Achilles heel or any lasting weakness throughout the year that maybe cost you, particularly against Miami? And I guess if so, what would it have been?
I'm just proud of how brave the guys go out and play each and every night. They put it on the line that we've decided, that we wanted to play a certain style. And I think, for the most part, we're happy with the way that we did it. It's not easy. And I think the guys committed to it and did it each weekend. And I hope everybody, sees that and can be proud of that this is a team that wanted to come out and represent the city of Nashville in a real hard-working, intense way, and the way they came to work every day, I just couldn't be more proud.
In the first half, you only had one shot, and no shots on target. What do you think wasn't allowing you to get the ball into more dangerous areas and to get chances at goal in the first half?
Yeah, I thought the pressure from Miami was really good, and we didn't exploit the space behind us. We were stuck in our own end a little bit. Couldn't turn them around. Couldn't sort of really get out of our own pressure as well. So I thought that's where we tried to make those adjustments in the second half. And I thought for the most part, up until the third goal, it was a positive response by the group.
Blair?
Yeah, BJ. Just the way this first half played out tonight, it was more similar, I guess, to Game 1 than it was to Game 2 in terms of how many chances Miami got. Is it as simple as just you guys playing away from home, or is there sort of something connecting Game 1 and tonight other than that, in defense specifically?
I think it's when you look at the first goal, we turn the ball over and it takes a deflection. So again, it's I don't think this comes down to some moments and plays, but I think the main idea was that we weren't really able to. We were stuck in our own half with the ball, and we couldn't. We didn't have the ability to break behind them and move our lines.
And then just you talked about how proud you are of the players, which I'm assuming you kind of relayed that message to them at the end of the game. But do you think they'll be able to see that, that the season was a success considering how it ended against Miami?
I mean, unless you win the championship, every season ends on a loss. So yes, I believe that when we kind of step back and review the last 10 months that this group has been together and how bold and brave that they were to take on a whole new idea and identity. When you break as many records as this group did, and you have a historic season where you win the first ever championship, yeah, I think this is going to be a season where these guys tell their kids, and they meet up 20 years from now and drink a beer with one another and rehash old really positive stories.
Everyone, we're now back with Nashville SC defender Dan Lovitz, and we'll go right into questions again, starting with Ben.
Yeah, Dan, I'm curious. Obviously, you came in at halftime. What did you see kind of in the first half? And looking at the changes that you made initially, how did you feel like you guys responded to going 2 down?
Obviously, a position you never want to be in, regardless of the ramifications of the game. But there were little tweaks made on both sides from the game in Nashville, and I think there was a feeling out period that unfortunately contained a deflection that leads to a pretty dangerous counterattack that puts them 1-0 up. And that's a tough goal to give up. And I think, as it pertained to getting any offense going in the first half, we were a little bit slow to maybe adjust. Trying to take space behind them maybe would have helped us a little bit. And I think we made that adjustment pretty well to start the second half, but a little bit too late in terms of getting behind the 8 ball a bit with the scoreline and having to push and leave ourselves exposed a bit. And that's what you get against a good team.
And then I know it's still pretty fresh, but I guess for 29 of 30 teams, the season ends kind of on a disappointing note. When you just look back at the 2025 season as a whole, what's the overall takeaway after winning the Open Cup and all that? What's kind of the overall feeling?
Yeah, honestly, very hard to digest in such a short turnaround. But at the same time, I can speak to how it's felt this year, competing and playing as a member of this team and this organization. And it's been incredibly fulfilling, although, like you said, all the other teams, minus the team that lifts the cup, are disappointed at the end of the year. There's a ton of stuff to be proud of. I hate saying that, but it's a fact. It felt like the start of something very special here this year. And I know that everyone that was a part of it felt that way and was very proud to contribute to it in any way, shape, or form.
Jacob?
Yeah, Dan, in losing to Inter Miami, is there any sense that you can take solace that it took maybe the greatest player of all time, maybe the most talented team to ever play in MLS, that you took them to 3 games and were eliminated at their hands, or does the opponent not really matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I understand what you're saying, but it's very difficult to have that mindset when you're out on the field competing as a group of 11 or 18, 20 guys or our whole roster. We can't have that mindset. Whoever we play against, they have the same number of players we do. And quite frankly, we fancy ourselves against any group. It's unfortunate that the scoreline represents a game that we felt like we were in, certainly for a large portion of that. But of course, it's not lost on us the quality of players and team and roster, whatever you want to call it. But it's something that inspires us to play better and to raise our level and know that we can compete. You don't get points for competing, you get points for winning. So not getting the job done stinks regardless. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. And yes, to some degree.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you felt you were in the game for, I guess, certainly a lot of it. I guess, was there a moment or anything during the game where you felt maybe the game kind of started to get away from you guys?
No, not necessarily. I think in general, going 2 goals down is always difficult to come back from, let alone a team that takes chances in transition to begin with, knowing that you have to push to make up the differential in the goal and try to affect the score and try to take some more risk. That does leave the door open. It's a give and take. And I think that, like you said, the quality of players, they'll punish you if you're not perfect defensively in those moments, or more importantly, if you're not able to produce in a goal scoring way. So I think you should always try to go and try to outscore Miami. It's going to be very difficult. I don't know how many times they were kept to a clean sheet this year, but probably not a ton. And, playing from behind is precarious, and, they have players that can punish you. And I think we didn't manage to turn any of our risk into a reward, if that makes sense.
Well,
Yeah, Dan, I just wanted to see from your perspective on the pitch, what happened on that called off goal for Sam, and what did you see and what were you told on the pitch?
It looked like two players coming together. I wasn't able to really evaluate exactly what was going on in the nature of it, but I think it was rather innocuous. I think there are players that make more contact than others. I'll leave it at that. But he took a chance and went down, and the ref awarded him and called the goal back. And that's difficult when that's the call in the field. It could have gone either way. But he wanted to make the call in that moment, and so be it. We have to move on, and unfortunately, it didn't result in a goal.
And then just drawing some lines between this game and game one, it played out, especially in the first half, in terms of how many chances Miami created, played very differently from game two. Is there something about being away and being within that crowd that kind of forced you guys to maybe play in the back foot a little bit, or do you just think it was a natural sort of how the game played out?
No, I don't think it had much to do with the crowd. I think more than anything, the similarities between the first game here and then this game was, it seemed like their first good chance they converted on. That changed the game. And the game in Nashville, we were able to draw a penalty early. And scoring early goals is a big deal in games, regardless of the opponent, let alone in playoffs. So in the series, that was really the deciding factor, unfortunately, in sort of setting the landscape out for each game. But as we saw in the first game and in the second game, there's still a lot of game left. But, compounding errors based off of the risks that we were taking that seemed to lead to a goal more times than not, that makes things difficult.
all right, thanks, Dan. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you guys joining all season.